On the next Vital Signs, a growing beef with beef.
Our mission is very simple, to completely replace animals as a food technology.
Now, meat made from plants.
It's this quest to have it look like the meat that we're used to.
This really looks and smells just like a beef burger.
And on the horizon, steak grown in a lab.
With very few cells, we can grow infinite amount of meat.
But will consumers bite?
To avoid catastrophic climate change.
Yup, ex-governor, ex-Terminator Arnold Schwarzenegger, in a video created to indict beef.
Less meat, less heat, more life.
No wonder the plant-based meat startups profiled recently here on Making Sense want to chop meat from our diets and the planet entirely and replace it with products like the Beyond Burger, or with Beyond's main rival, the Impossible Burger.
They ate it, they tasted it, and we asked
Biochemist
them,
Pat
"If you
Brown,
could have this
CEO
burger
of Impossible Foods, wants to replace grazing animals entirely.
By when?
by 2035.
And here's the CEO of rival Beyond Meat.
You look at heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Those things, there's a correlation between those and the levels of meat and the type of meat that we're eating.
Beef features a trio of charges: bad for the land, bad for the air, bad for the body.
All the protein required by the world's population in 2050 with 2% of Earth's land, if we did it the way we're producing our meat, as opposed to more than 45% of Earth's land that's currently being used raising animals for food.
What says the defense? In Marin County, California, grass-fed guru Bill Nyman and wife Nicolette, defender of beef.
What's so miraculous about these animals is they're basically just taking the energy of the sunlight that's going into the vegetation, and they are converting it with very little input from humans.
Humans who can't eat grass. Ag professor Frank Mittlehner echoes the Nymans.
So here in California, half of all land in the state is marginal land, is rangeland used for cattle. And without them, you could not use that land for human food production.
But what about wasted water?
And so the whole ecosystem holds a lot more water in it when you have grazing animals, when they're well managed. You also have just a lot more biological activity in the soil. And that turns out to be the cornerstone of sustainability for the whole food system.
That cow is pooping as we speak. What percentage of greenhouse gases are accounted for, in your estimation, by livestock?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 18%, yeah.
These heifers here will be finished, meaning going to slaughter when they're 14 months of age. So they're still very young. If they were on pasture their whole life, they would go to slaughter twice that age.
If the rest of the world followed suit, Mittlehner says, the greenhouse effect would drop dramatically. What about bad for the body?
We do see that higher amounts of red meat in the diet are associated with many adverse health outcomes.
Harvard nutrition expert Walter Willett.
And right now in the United States, we consume basically twice as much, on average, protein as our bodies need.
I think meat is delicious food that humans have been eating for a very, very long time, and I think there is a place for animals in sustainable agriculture. However, that's not the kind of meat we're eating now. We're eating the products of a wasteful and polluting feedlot system, and that allows us to eat an unnaturally large amount of meat.
Should plant-based meat replace meat on the hoof completely?
The realistic goal is not to destroy the meat industry. People are going to continue to eat meat. It's to shrink it. It's to bring it back to a scale where we can raise cattle without destroying the environment.
And it turns out even the Nymans aren't telling us to gorge on their never-seen-a-feedlot friends. And finally, what about plant-based meat?
When you're taking something in the diet that's as simple and nourishing as eggs, meat, and milk, and you're telling people, you should replace it with this thing I created in a laboratory, I don't think it's going to work.
I guess we'll see. For the PBS NewsHour, this is economics correspondent Paul Solman.
Come, cattle! Just come!
Trying to cull the cows while reporting from California.
Come, cattle!